We're live. Hi, friends. All right. So, this is the interview that you've been asking me for. Okay. This is the one that you've been saying you want to talk about. Let's talk about Vietnam. I've got the Vietnam expat pro with us today. We've got Halona Black, who is number one, an expat who lives in Vietnam. Number two, she is a writer slash ghostwriter slash book coach. So, we have a lot to talk about this evening or this morning, wherever you are. So say hi in the chat. Go ahead and let us know who is in the chat, where you are in the world. And if you're watching the replay, say hi in the comments, ask your questions in the comments, and we'll see them later. But I'm so excited to introduce to you guys Halona Black. Welcome, Halona.
Hey, Stephanie, how are you?
I'm great. I'm great. So
Hello to everybody in the chat.
Vietnam is one of my favorite places. So Vietnam is
Mhm.
a place where I always tell Black women, consider, right? Consider
Mhm.
Vietnam, whether it's for a long, like a sabbatical, or if it's
Mhm.
for to live, like to
Yeah.
live like you do. So we're going to talk today about what's so great about Vietnam. Also, I mean, like you can also share what's not so great about Vietnam. I was only there for 2 months, so what I think is I have a different opinion than you're going to have.
Mhm.
So let us know first, how did you, so we're going to get into a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff today, like I said, everybody. But first, Alana, can you tell us how you ended up in Vietnam?
Yeah, so July the 17th was actually, can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Okay, great. So July 17th was actually my 2-year travel anniversary.
Oh,
So when I left the States, I went to Dubai for about 5 days, and then from Dubai, I went to Thailand. And my intention was to sort of hop around for a while.
okay.
But by the time I had gotten to Thailand, I was so exhausted from life in America. And I was just feeling very sick. And I actually went through a whole healing process while I was in Thailand. So I actually crashed in Thailand, went to Bangkok, went to Chiang Mai in the north of Thailand, and wound up staying there for a year.
Okay.
Um, Went through a whole herbal healing process. By the end of the year, I was feeling like a whole new human being.
Good.
Um, and so then I moved on to here to Vietnam, stayed for 3 months um, because that was all the visa that I got. I had no idea really that Vietnam, I would really enjoy Vietnam,
Okay.
particularly Da Nang, as much as I did. Stayed here for 3 months, and then I did another 2 months in Cambodia. Also love Cambodia, a very beautiful country, and then decided to come back to Vietnam. And so I'm, for at least for this moment, I'm here until the end of December.
Okay. Okay. And you got there
Hmm.
when this time?
This for I got here in early December of 2019.
Okay. All right. So it will be
Hmm.
1 year. And have you spent have you lived only in Da Nang?
Yeah, I've only lived in Da Nang
Okay.
since I've been in Vietnam.
Okay.
But I've visited a little bit in Saigon or Ho Chi Minh City just for a few days. I did a meditation in a village outside of Saigon, and then I've visited Hanoi in the north a couple of times, mostly for to visit to just I needed to go and get my a new passport
Yeah.
from the American embassy there. But then I also did a lot of other cool stuff while I was there too.
Okay. When you talked about going to Thailand and having some healing time in Thailand, did you leave the US to leave permanently, or was this supposed to be a temporary thing that turned into a permanent thing?
Well, I had never been to Asia before I left. I lived in West Africa in my early 20s, and had done some traveling around West Africa, probably up until like my early 30s, 20s to my early 30s. But I had never been to Asia, and for some reason I felt like Asia felt far to me at the time, and so I just decided this was the time for me to be able to go. Now, I said I would go there for 3 months, and if I didn't like it, I would either go back home or go someplace else. But I got to Thailand and I loved it so much. I was just like, there's really no need for me to go home because
Yeah.
I've been making a living as a writer online for about 3 or 4 years by the time I had left to go to Thailand. So I
Okay.
was used to working with clients um, in an online space where I didn't have to go get up and go to work every day. And so it just made sense for me to live a cheaper life living in Asia.
Okay. Do you do you remember why you so do you remember why you felt like Southeast Asia was going to be the location in the in the first place? Like why didn't you go to Mexico
Hmm.
or wherever, Central
Hmm.
America?
It was yeah, I had been to Mexico, and I had done a test run actually in Mexico. I went to Central Mexico,
Okay.
and I got there, and I enjoyed it. Had a wonderful time. Spent 30 days there, but I didn't feel a connection. Like
Okay.
this was where I was supposed to be.
Okay.
Um, but when I looked at videos, I looked at a lot of videos on YouTube, particularly on Chiang Mai, Thailand, and it just looked like a place. Primarily I loved it because it was so cheap.
Yes.
I felt like I could take the money that I had, and and I can make it stretch. I can make it go far. I really enjoy Asian food.
Okay.
It just seemed like a practical place for me to just go and work on my healing, continue to build my writing business, and just deal with whatever else would sort of come up. And it's been just the best decision I've ever made for my life.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. So, okay, so good. Hi, friends. I'm going to say hi to people in the chat. Hi, Saren, Corazon. Hi. So, Niece, Soprano Musings, and Tish and Katrina. Hi, guys. So, we have a couple people in the, and if you haven't said hi in the chat yet, go ahead and say hey to us so we can know that you're here. We have some people who
Hello.
we have some people who are super interested in Vietnam, not just like
Okay.
I've heard it was good, but like
Hmm.
if we weren't on lockdown right now, I would be in Vietnam. Like that serious. We do. I know because like people have been DMing me all day talking about they can't wait to talk to you. So ask your
Oh,
specific
cool.
questions. I'm going to ask the questions that I have, but I'm not
Hmm.
psychic, so you're going to have to ask your questions, guys. So ask your questions in the chat, and we will get them answered. Okay. So you're in Thailand. You enjoy Thailand. You go to Vietnam. You think it's just going to be okay, and you get there, and you're like, I'm staying here. Was
Yeah.
was it difficult to get the 1 year? So you're on a tourist visa still. Was it a difficult process to decide to stay for 1 year?
No, now let me say this. Pre-COVID, it was very easy to get a Vietnam visa. Like the way it works for Vietnam is you go online, and there are visa companies, where you can just go online and you purchase, particularly if you're an American, you can just purchase whatever visa it is that you need 3 days, at least 3 days before you're ready to go, and you can just pick it up at the airport. So I paid $150 for well, no. My first visit over here, I only came for 3 months because I wasn't sure how I would feel about the place. But this go round, I paid $150 for a 1 year visa. Um, and it's very easy. They don't really ask for a whole lot of information other than what's on your passport, and you pay your money, and then you pick it up at the airport.
Okay. And then,
And it might be a little bit different now because of COVID.
yeah.
I don't think they're doing the 1 year visa anymore, but I think they do up to 3 months at a time.
Okay. And then you mentioned that you're there until December. So I know things are up in the air, but is your plan to leave Vietnam after the year or try to extend?
I may extend. I'm also looking at other places within the continent of Africa that I might be looking at. So, like, my everything is wide open at the
Okay.
moment.
Okay. That's good. That's that's the point, right?
Hmm.
Hi, Kay. Hi, Mom. My mom's on here. Aquarian Gypsy. Hi. Hey, Kathy. I'm glad Kathy's here. Okay. Okay. Kathy's going to have some specific questions. Okay. All right. So, what was it like going to Vietnam and making friends? You're part of a community of Black expats in Vietnam,
Hmm.
in Da Nang, not just in
Yeah.
Vietnam, but in Da Nang, like right in your
Hmm.
town. There are
Yeah.
probably 50 or 60 people that you meet with on a regular basis.
Hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
There's a group called Brothers and Sistas of Da Nang. I believe there's other ones for Hanoi and another one for Saigon or Ho Chi Minh City. And so it's very easy to go on Facebook to look at any city that you in on the world, or a country that you really want to go to, and look up the words brothers and sisters of whatever city, whatever town, or black women of, or something like that. And be able to connect with a group of people before you go, and just offer to meet some people for dinner, drinks, or whatever it is that you want to do. So it's nice to be able to have that sort of built-in um, group of friends, so to speak,
Yes.
that you can sort of meet and just sort of connect with people and get connected to resources. And at the time when I first came here, a lot of people were leaving Thailand because Thailand was becoming more strict with their visa rules, and so they had sort of come here to Vietnam as an alternative, because it was just so easy at the time to be able to get a year-long or 3-month visa, or whatever it is that you were working with. So I already knew a lot of the people who were already here. So that was nice to be able to connect with people that you know.
It sure is, because you do get lonely no matter how much you enjoy a place, and no matter how great the food is, and all of that. You still get lonely, and you still want to connect with people. And in Vietnam, you don't. I assume you don't speak Vietnamese. It's a little harder.
Right, I don't.
It's harder. It's not like you're in England or something where you can just sit down at a pub and talk to strangers. So it's good to be in a place where you have a community of people, and I mean that community is deep and tight.
We are.
Are they? So are they a community? Are the people, the Black expats in Vietnam? Do you feel like they're like a more creative community? Kay wants to know about the. No, I'm sorry. Corazon wanted to know about the creative community there. Are you finding that these are people that are more in the creative fields, and people who are doing, are you working, like partnering with them, or what are they like?
It's a mix. As far as what they do, as far as what people are doing for work. I think I'm probably the only full-time writer. I think other people are sort of doing it part-time, as a sort of a side gig. A lot of people teach English here, whether they're teaching English online or they're working in a school. Some people are living on like an art, if they were in the military, and so they get some sort of a military stipend every month, and they retired from the military or just retired from whatever job they had in the States, and they're sort of living off of that. But most people are teaching English. Some people are artists. I've met some people who are artists, and they're making some sort of a living or doing some sort of an expression. There's someone here who is a comedian.
Yes.
She does other things. Yeah, she does other things.
Jazzy, is it Jazzy?
Yeah, Jazzy.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's nice to be able to go to her shows every once in a while when she's doing the show, and she's always doing something. So she's hosting things, and she's actually very serious about building her comedian career. So that's really cool. But yeah, whatever it is that you want to do, you can do here, and and you can, if you need to teach English to be able to make money to make your living, you can do that as many hours as you need to be able to make enough money to be able to live, and then you can pursue your creative pursuits as well.
Yeah. Is that something that you already talked about the cost of living? Is that something that is keeping you there? Like, you don't have to work as much in Vietnam as you would if you were back in the U.S.?
Yeah, among other things. Like, I really had to do, like, my healing process that I had done, of course, healing is always ongoing, but my healing process that I did, where I really got a chance to be able to just sort of, I always call it collapse upon myself, where I was able to I made just enough money to be able to, just sort of cover the basis as far as, my rent and food and things were concerned. And to be able to pay for whatever herbal things that I needed to be able to be able to get well. But then, everything else was sort of taken care of. So, if you have creative pursuits, if you want to be able to take the time for yourself to be able to heal and, not really mingle with a whole lot of people, unless you feel like it, you can do that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about your healing? Can we talk about what
Yeah,
was happening?
yeah, everything is open.
Okay. Okay. So you have a book about you have a medical condition that you wrote a book about, and I think it's fibroids.
Yeah, uterine
Uterine
fibroids. I wrote
fibroids.
that some years ago, and I'm writing another part to it because um, a lot of the what I've gone through up until now, I've always thought it was about the fibroids, and I, just focused on the fibroids, but it really wasn't. It was a whole bunch of other things around my life that I needed to change about my, being happy with the relationships that I was in, being happy around my own particular creative expression, being happy with the work that I was doing, really all sorts of things that I needed to be able to take care of. And nothing really got better until I started to learn how to treat myself better. And I learned a lot of that through the healers that I worked with when I was in Thailand.
In Thailand. How did you connect with them?
hmm I found them by accident. They're actually two black men
Oh,
who live permanently in Thailand. So one is an herbalist, and the other one is sort of an energy healer slash shaman, sort of a deal. Both of them are shaman, really. Um, but I worked with the both of them over a course of 6 months to be able to help me to detox my body and just to sort of help me sit through a lot of the mental gunk
yeah.
that was going on in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so by the time I had gotten through that, I had dropped about, at the time it was about 70 some odd pounds. And you can just sort of see the difference um, in what my skin looked like. My mental clarity was on point, and I've just been able to build on that in the year since that experience.
That's fantastic. I listened to an interview of yours where you said you needed to rewrite your life. Like your life was not what you wanted, and you had to rewrite it. And this was one of the steps that you
Yeah.
took to rewrite your life.
hmm
That's amazing. What was there fear that going out and doing this was just going to lead to a disaster of some sort, like some kind, we're all afraid that something's going to go wrong. Was there fear
hmm
that this was going to be a disaster, or did you feel like if I step out and go to this place, 100% chance it's going to work out, that 100% chance that I'm going to come back a better me, more me?
I felt like if I didn't do it, I was going to die. Like honestly, I felt so sick being in the United States, and knowing when I had first gone overseas as an adult, I had joined the Peace Corps in my early 20s. I went to Togo in West Africa. I had a wonderful time, and I came back to the United States, and I remember saying that I couldn't hear God anymore. And like I don't. There's just something about being in Africa in a very natural environment. I lived in a very tiny village, with no interruptions of electricity and all kinds of other modern conveniences. There really were no modern conveniences. You just sort of naturally learn to tune in to what God is telling you on what to do on a daily basis. But when I got back to the United States, just to sort of, pursue my life as an adult, that didn't happen anymore. And so I got very clear on the fact that living in the United States was not for me. But I also felt like I needed to go back to the United States to be able to get more job experience. I felt like I needed to go to grad school. I came home married. I had married a Togolese man while I was overseas. We're not together anymore. Yeah, and so I felt like there were things that I needed to do as an adult in the United States in order to prepare myself to be able to go back to overseas at some point. I didn't know how that was going to look. I didn't know what that would look like at the time. I figured, maybe I'll get another international development job at some point in my career when the time was right. But I felt like because of the relationships that I was in, it just never panned out until I was 40 years old. And I started, I just felt really sick, and I was tired of pushing my dream away and getting with other men and saying, okay, we're going to make a plan and we're going to go overseas at some point. and then we get together and it never works out, and then I'm just left feeling like, I'm depriving myself of the life that I really wanted to live. And
Yes.
so between the feeling sick and the being disappointed in the relationships, I said, yeah, it's either I'm going to go overseas now, or I'm going to die in the United States and um, feeling like I had never really pursued my purpose in life. And so I just had to do it. I just had to go, and whatever I was met with would be what I was met with. I had no idea that I was going to be able to do all of this healing
Okay.
in the way that I did. I honestly thought I was just going to go to Thailand and maybe find an acupuncturist or something,
Okay.
or maybe if I just eat some fruit or something and have some fresh air and some rest, that it would get better on its own. But I really had no clue that I would just sort of magically meet people who would sort of bring me down this healing path that I couldn't have created for myself, even if that was what I wanted at the time.
It's amazing. You don't have to know where you're going, right? You just have to be willing to
Mhm.
take a step. You don't have to know, you don't have to have, a big picture plan. You just have to be willing to
Yeah.
take a step. And man,
Mhm.
does everything unfold for you. So
It really does.
the chat is all in. So the ladies in the chat, Kathy, Katrina, everybody is all in on this. So we're going to talk money because I know that's what everybody came for. So we're going to talk money specifically. First of all, Halona, so you were working online, so
Mhm.
you were able to make money before you left the U.S. online.
Yeah.
But did you have like a stash of cash also, like emergency cash, or did you have to stop and save up? A lot of my friends are stopping and
Mhm.
saving up now for their
Mhm.
exodus. But did you do that, or did you just go with the money that you were making?
I went with the money that I was making. I also had maybe $2,000 in the bank.
Okay.
Before I had left, I had spent a few months living with my dad and his wife. They graciously allowed me to stay in preparation for my trip abroad, so that I could just pay off. I had just a few debts that I needed to pay off, so I wouldn't have to think about it. Um, and had a couple $1,000s, which basically, and even that $2,000, I had spent some of that on like the plane ticket to be able
Yeah.
to get overseas. It's like, I didn't really like land in Thailand with this extra cushion of $2,000. Like I had spent some money on a few things, and I use much of a lot of that just for my monthly housing and food for a minute. But I also had the money coming in from the clients that I was working in as a freelance writer. So I didn't have a whole lot. I speak to some people, they want to save like $10,000, and they need this whole cushion. If you have money coming in, whatever you're making in the States, you can make it overseas.
That's right. That's right. If you have money coming in, yes. If you have money coming in, you'll be able to live. If you can live
Hmm.
on your online income here, you can definitely live on your online income out, so anywhere
Yeah.
else. So how
Hmm.
how much? So for like when you got to Chiang Mai, do you remember how you got
Hmm.
your first apartment or like your first place to stay? 'Cause I'm a
I
house
always
sitter, so
look
I
on
don't deal with
Airbnb.
that kind of
Hmm.
stuff.
Yeah, I always go on Airbnb.
Okay.
And I find a place for a few days, just sort of to feel it out. And then I ask the landlord, or whoever it is that I'm dealing with. I say, hey, I'd really like to be able to stay here a long term, whether it's, 3 months or whatever. And then we work out some sort of a plan.
And how much have you been spending on accommodation?
At where I am now, I have a large studio apartment with a balcony. It's got a beautiful view of the river and mountains here, and a beautiful Da Nang in Vietnam has a lot of bridges. So I have a view of the bridge, and on the opposite side is a river and beautiful green mountains and sky. So I pay 350 per
Three
month.
350
Uh,
per month for the apartment. For the studio? Does that include utilities and internet?
no, it doesn't include utilities. I have to pay for electricity. So it's the middle of hot and steamy season. So
Yes.
um, that could be anywhere from $30 to $50 a month. So you pay extra for that. But it does include internet.
Good.
I get water delivery here. All the water you can drink. You get cleaning service weekly. Um, and plus, the people who own my building are very nice. So I have a very nice family to be able to refer to if I have issues, or they're just friendly Vietnamese people.
Good. Do they live there
Yeah, they
in
do
the
live here.
building? Do you, let's see,
Hmm.
how hard would it be for you to show us the view? Katrina, my Katrina's my friend. We nosy. How hard would it be
Let me see
if it's
if I
gonna mess?
can.
If it's gonna.
Let's see. It's not that hard.
Okay.
Always.
You
Let's
don't.
see if
You
I
don't.
can
You don't have to show it. You can
turn it this
Okay.
way.
I was gonna say you don't. We don't. You don't have to show us your apartment, but you can show us the view if you don't mind. Da Nang
I
is.
don't know if you can see that.
Yes, we can. A little bit lower. Let's see. A tiny bit lower. Can y'all see? Oh, let me get off the screen. How about that? Y'all see? So Da Nang has bridges. Yeah. So as you can see, bridges, mountains, water, beach. Thank you so much.
Hmm. Hmm.
Everybody can see. Thank you so much. Yes, Zanang is, I really enjoyed my time there. So I took a year off. And if anybody's new, welcome. Hi. Say hi in the chat. My name is Stephanie. And please subscribe. So I took a year off to travel, and I spent 2 months in Vietnam. And my favorite time in Vietnam was in Hoi An, which is like just a few
Yeah.
minutes south. Hoi
Hmm.
An, Da Nang is a city. Hoi An is like the old town. Hoi An has
Yeah.
like the old stuff. And I really loved it, and spent some time like on the beach. I don't know if I ever got in the water there because I got a tattoo while I was there. I got my tattoo
Hmm.
right there in Da Nang. And I don't think I could get in the water. But it was just
Hmm.
it's just a great place. It's city enough, but it's also a little more chill. Like for Vietnam, it's chill. Like Vietnam cities are hustle,
Yeah.
bustle. There's traffic
Yeah.
and motorbikes
Very much
and
so.
yeah. Da Nang. I actually rode my own motorbike in Da Nang. Do you ride a motorbike, or are you not doing that?
I keep saying that I'm going to do that. I think for right now it's enough for me to ride on the back of another motorbike. But I do that's something that I need to do before I leave, is learn how to ride my own motorbike and get around the city. So that's on my list of things to do. I don't want to leave here and not have done that experience.
Yeah, I only did it because Jazz made me. I was in Hoi An, and she was like, "Let's go to Da Nang. Let's rent motorbikes." Because so I stayed in not an Airbnb, but like in a studio apartment that was 180 per month in
Hmm.
Hoi An. But I guess it was not a studio apartment. It was a room. So I had a bedroom and a bathroom and a like refrigerator, microwave. Did I have a microwave? And that's it. So I paid 180 per
Hmm.
month, and it included a bicycle. So I would ride my little
Yeah.
bicycle around to the beach. And Jazz one day was like, "Let's go to Da Nang and let's rent motorbikes." And oh my gosh, I was so scared. I yelled at her like the whole way up there. We're on our two. I'm on my bike. She's on her bike. I'm like, "I can't do this. I can't do this." But she made me, and we did it. But yeah, Da Nang is marvelous. Why did you pick that instead of like Hoi An or Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City?
Well, when I am planning to come here, I really needed to be next to the beach. I completed my healing process when I was in Chiang Mai in Thailand, and I was told that I need to be in water. I need to spend a lot of time in water,
Okay.
and so it just made sense for me to be able to come to Da Nang. I'm just a person who doesn't really care for a whole lot of hustle and bustle, and so Da Nang had just the right amount of I guess things to do and things to be able to see and look at, without really being too slow, where
Yes.
where there's absolutely nothing. And Hoi An is beautiful too. But I just think, for me, it just felt like, to be able to live there, it just felt like to get basic things like groceries and things was just a little bit more. I don't want to say difficult, but you have to do a
Yeah.
little bit more going out a little bit further to be able to get your groceries in one place
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I just stayed in Da Nang. I have the beach here. It's a literally a 10-minute motorbike ride away, and I visit Hoi An for 2 or 3 days spurts at a time whenever I want to, because why not?
Yes, that's
You
right.
just get a hotel and you just stay there for
Just
two or three
stay.
days straight.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is, but it is sleepier. It's a quieter town.
Hmm.
It's a
Yeah.
tourist. It's a tourist town. Like the entire town is like a tourist attraction. So they're always,
Hmm.
a bunch. It's always crowded. Well, not today probably, but normally it's always crowded. But it's like it's
Hmm.
cute. It's cute. But I did get a
Hmm.
lot of
It
clothes
is.
made. Have you had clothes made in Vietnam yet?
I haven't had luck with tailors.
Oh.
I bought just a couple of things, and I didn't love it. It wasn't
Uh-huh.
bad. Other people have bought things and they love it. So I guess it depends on you. First,
Yeah.
maybe I haven't found the right tailor for me. I don't know. But I didn't love
It's
it.
probably it, and the fabric is a situation too, because I got
Yeah,
stuff that I really like, but the fabric is cheap. I don't know how to pick
yeah,
fabric, and they know I don't know how to
yeah.
pick
Hmm.
fabric. I like what I had. I had a lot of day jammers made, little two pieces,
Hmm.
and I love them, but the fabric is not, good quality. Yeah,
Hmm.
but that's what Hoi An is known for. People go there to get stuff made, clothes, shoes. I
Yeah.
got I got clothes, shoes, and a bag made there.
Hmm.
And I didn't have any money. I didn't.
But it's
I
but
was
it's
poor, so
yeah. Yeah, but it's also a really nice place to go shopping. Like there's leather shops, jewelry shops. I like to buy jewelry and things like that,
yeah,
just because it's easier. It's easy to be able to travel with jewelry. You just throw your pieces in a bag, and it fits in whatever it is that you've brought. Um, but yeah, you can find all sorts of handicrafts in Hoi An. So I like Hoi An for that reason as well.
yes. Hi, Kia. Welcome. Hi, Lovely Day 6. Welcome. Apologetic Nomads. Welcome, friends. All right, so Kathy says, where do you fly in from the States? Where do you fly into from the States?
You can fly directly into Da Nang. Da Nang has its own airport. Um, if you're flying from the States, you might probably fly into Ho Chi Minh City or Hanoi, and then you can very easily take a transfer flight into Da Nang directly.
Yes, I agree with all of that. Yeah, Da Nang does have. She's right. Da Nang does have an international airport, but it was when I looked, it was a lot more expensive. So I flew into. I don't remember now. I flew into Hanoi and I flew out of Ho Chi Minh
Hmm.
City. But it's easy to fly in within Vietnam, or train travel is super
Hmm.
popular in Vietnam.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't done that yet. I want to take a train to Hue, which I think is past Hoi An.
Yes.
Um,
It's north.
because I really love temples. Oh, it's north.
Uh
Okay.
huh.
So yeah, I really love temples. I love temples and meditation and everything Buddhist, which is something that I learned about when I got to Thailand. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Never had done any of this
Yeah.
before I had gone to Southeast Asia, and now like my life depends on
Yeah. You're like,
it.
I need this now. I can't go back to not
Hmm.
doing this now. Yeah. It's funny how you discover
Hmm.
things and you're like, oh, okay, I like
Hmm.
this. This is something that I like. Yeah. I really enjoyed Hue. Hue is a town, it used to be the capital or whatever. And so they have just a lot
Hmm.
of temples and a lot of, like, not monuments, but maybe monuments to former rulers that are just
Hmm.
elaborate and beautiful. And yeah, Hue was great. And it's
Hmm.
also a foodie place, so you'll like that because it's also a foodie place. I ate the same
Hmm.
stuff in Vietnam in a good way. Like I found stuff that I loved and I
Yeah.
just ate it all the time. but Hue is supposed to be a foodie place where people like to go and try
Hmm.
a whole variety of Vietnamese dishes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm scrolling through the comments. Okay, I think we're caught up. All right. So let's oh. Oh, unapologetic nomads. What you get for accommodation in Asia is amazing. They're in
Hmm.
Cambodia. Oh, that's great. And can agree. Yeah, I mean, there's no hands down. There's no competition. There's no place else I don't think where you can get what you can get in Southeast Asia. And I'm not even a good negotiator. Did you negotiate the 350 or did you just pay what they asked?
I don't. I just paid.
Yeah.
I just paid it. Like I just you get so much for the 350, especially with this beautiful view that I have.
Uh
Like
huh.
if I was in more of I'm in a part of town that's very local, so it's not a whole lot of outsiders that live here, and certainly not no black people.
Okay.
Um, But if I were staying in the more touristy part of Da Nang, I could easily be paying $500 a month for this, and it would still be a great bargain.
Sure would.
Yeah. So and then I didn't mention I also have a washer and a dryer that's
Great.
available to me here, which is nice. Usually, if they have a washer, then it only will come with a washer, and you just sort of air dry your clothes. But a dryer is just nice to have.
It sure is. It sure is. Yeah. You don't know. You're like, oh, no problem, no dryer, and then next thing you know, you're awake with no clothes clean, or no clothes dry, or all your clean clothes are wet. Welcome, Phil Hall Sr., and welcome, Sharon. Hi, Sharon. Sharon's in North Carolina. All right, Katrina. Okay, so Katrina, before we go to that, so we talked about your expenses. Can you tell us about, like, do you feel like you work full time, or are you working part-time hours? Like, are you putting in full-time
Oh,
work?
as far as hours?
Yeah.
I'm putting in part-time hours, but it also depends on what projects I'm working on at the time. Sometimes I'll get projects that may require that I put in, a good 6-7 hours during the day. And then other times where I'm doing just more marketing and just sort of business upkeep, I might work 4 or 5 hours during the week. And usually that's 4 days out of the week that I'm working, purposefully. Now, I have other aspirations and things that I'm working on, like books and things that I want to be able to write, and other parts of my business that I want to be able to build out. And I sort of do that in my free time.
Okay.
But this is what I'm doing for cash on a monthly basis. These are the things that I have to do. I'm putting in maybe 4 to 5 hours per day for 4 to 5 days a week. I'm doing that.
Okay, so we're talking around 20 hours a week or so.
Yeah.
Is good for you to live on and enjoy your life and have a life and do the fun things, the things that you want to do that aren't necessarily money makers today.
Yeah.
All right. So Katrina wants to know, do you keep your money under your mattress in a bank in the U.S. or in a Vietnamese bank?
All my money is spread out across 3 different banks in the States. And so I'm able to transfer money back and forth. I have my business bank account. People pay me there. Sometimes I get paid in checks. And so I have I don't know what you would call it, an online mailing system where they'll take a picture of the mail that I get, and I can do a direct deposit through an app on my phone to be able to deposit checks that way, or they'll do a direct deposit. And then I have a system for distributing the money to different bank accounts, so that I have 3 different separate banks to be able to withdraw money, just in case something goes wrong. Because just some days, for some reason, one bank card is just not working. There's no explanation for it. It just ain't working. And so it's just nice to be able to have a backup of money that I can transfer back and forth and use an entirely different card from a different bank altogether.
Okay.
So that's one tip that I would give people. You don't want to get out here and be stuck and can't get to your money. You want to be able to give yourself choices as far as different ways for you to be able to access your cash.
That's a great tip. But they're all U.S. banks. You haven't had to open up an account overseas. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't done it. Some people have. If you're going to be here longer term, some people like to be able to get a local bank account just so that they can get around having to pay the fees.
Yeah.
Because the fees do add up. But if you get a Schwab bank account, I mostly take money out of a Schwab bank account, and they reimburse your fees every month.
Yes.
So whatever fees you incur over the course of the month for taking money out of the ATM, all that money you get back at the end of the month.
Yes.
No questions asked.
Yes. Charles Schwab is a great bank for travelers. I bank with USAA. They do the same thing. No foreign transaction fees. A lot of U.S. banks charge 3% foreign transaction fees on every transaction, plus the ATM fees and blah blah blah. And Charles Schwab and USAA, no no foreign transaction fees and reimburse ATM fees. I think USAA reimburses me up to something like $15 or $20 a month or something like that in ATM fees as well. Yeah, so that's important. That's something that long-term travelers have to think about, because that 3% is a lot of money when it's your living expenses. It's not just like going out for yeah, that adds
And
up.
those international fees, like I didn't know to ask about the international fees. So when I first got to Thailand, I was just on little stuff like Grab on Grab rides,
The
or
taxi.
motorcycle taxi
Uh-huh.
rides. I was just having all of that just put on my card, and so at the end of the month, so you see the charges for the month, and then like a week after that month, you just see a whole bunch of fees that they took out, and you're like, well, what is this? And I didn't realize that there was an additional international fee on top of. I just thought I only had to worry about the ATM fee, but there's also an international fee.
They get
So you
you.
definitely want to ask those questions.
That's yes. Ask your bank. Find out.
I had to, I had to close the whole bank. I was like, oh no, this is not even.
It's not helpful at all. That right? It's not helpful at all. Like, no, indeed. We're done. Our relationship is over. Bank. Hi, Donna Ray. Donna Ray is from St. Louis. Hi. Unapologetic nomad said to ask you if you've ever been to Siem Reap, Halona, because her husband says you look familiar. He spoke to you in a pizza restaurant there.
Yes, I remember him. I was in Siem Reap. Yes, I went there to go to Angkor Wat. I was there for 2 months.
2 months.
It's a beautiful place. Yeah, I was there for 2 months. I was only in Angkor Wat maybe 3 or 4 days. But yeah, I love Cambodia. It's not. I don't think it's a place where I was so kind of frustrated with the internet situation.
Yes.
But yeah, I did enjoy Cambodia a lot. I would love to be able to go back and do some more exploring outside of Siem Reap.
Good. Yeah, I enjoyed Cambodia too. You're right. The internet is night and day. Vietnam's internet is amazing. Fast, inexpensive, amazing. It puts a lot of the world to shame. I went to Australia afterwards, and I was like, oh my gosh, this sucks. Australia's internet is the pits. It's the pits. I'm like, come on, what is it, 1999? But yeah, Vietnam's internet, fast, amazing. That's why digital nomads love it so much. One of the reasons that they love it there so much. Oh, that's nice. So y'all family, y'all know each other. It's a small world. Because you also know Rashida. You've met Rashida in Thailand, she said. Rashida, yeah. Rashida is I call her my business bestie. We partner up on work stuff all the time. And she said that she met you in Thailand.
Yes, I see all her pictures online. Beautiful pictures.
Beautiful pictures. All right, Donna Ray says okay, good question, Donna Ray, thank you. Tell us about your medical care / insurance / medications. Do you have to get medications sent to you? Do you come back to the U.S. for medical care? Are you okay with this question?
Yeah, this is fine. And it's actually a really great question.
It is.
When I left the States, I was tired of the medical system as a whole. Now, let me be clear. This is me and my experience. I am not telling anybody what to do with their medical issues. I'm simply sharing my experience. I was so done with between having the uterine fibroids. I've had, surgery and all the things of dealing with doctors who were just uncaring, that I felt like to women's bodies, that I sort of felt like I didn't want to deal with the U.S. Or even a traditional Western medical system anymore. And so when I left the States, I was very much looking for an alternative to a Western medical system, which is kind of that's exactly what I found when I found my herbalists and the shamans that I work with. And so at this point, I only exclusively work with herbalists, other, non-traditional healers, acupuncturists and things like that. I continue to work with, I see an energy healer and shaman every month, which does absolute wonders for my health. I make sure that I eat well.
Yes.
I go to the spa and get massages, and I go to saunas. So I take exquisite care of my health. My health is my responsibility. If you have other issues and things that you need to work with, you make this decision that works best for you.
That's right.
I should say that when I was in Thailand and I was on my doing my herbal healing process, I wanted to shrink my fibroids that I had. But I got to a point where I had lost so much blood in the process of sort of healing, that towards the end of my healing process that I did wind up in the hospital. I did almost bleed to death, and they wanted to give me a hysterectomy, and I refused. And I left the hospital against their wishes, to go and work with my energy healer, and it's worked out fine. That it was a process that I had to go through. It wasn't easy, but I made the decision to be completely 100% dedicated to not having to need a hospital unless it was absolutely necessary. So I don't have any medical insurance. What I do have is a bank account where I keep $1,000, just in case if there's an emergency and I need to pay out of pocket to be able, if I, God forbid, get into a car accident or something, and I need to be able to go see a doctor, I can pay for it out of pocket. But as far as paying for insurance, I don't really see the point for myself. I'm not on any sort of medications. I take care of myself through alternative means.
I'm so glad that things worked out with your fibroids, and I'm so glad that, I'm so glad that they took good care of you. So I will tell you, Donna, I do know a couple of different people who have to have medications, and they get their medications either like hand delivered. I know some people who have like people come and visit them every few months, and they're like, okay, before you come, I'm going to refill my prescriptions and have them sent to you. So if you're concerned, Donna, is getting medications sent to you, like seriously, the like a personal carrier, like a friend bringing them to you is not out of the question. A lot of people just get their medications in the other country. I don't know about, it depends on where you are. In Mexico, so I house sit in Mexico for a lot of senior citizens who just get all of their medical care in Mexico, even though they could come back to the U.S. They're seeing, U.S. and Canada trained doctors down in Mexico at Mexico prices. So a lot of people find health care in the other country and pay for it in that country's, pay cash, in that country. All right. And then also travel medical insurance does cover long-term travelers who, in the event that they need to be hospitalized or medically evacuated. Medical evacuation is the thing. That's the thing that is the fear, right? That's the fear. So there are travel medical insurance companies. I use World Nomads. Alliance is another popular one, where you can get a policy to cover the big stuff, and then you pay for the little stuff out of pocket. In Philippines, I got leishmaniasis, which is a skin disease, which is gross, so don't look it up. Don't look it up. But I got leishmaniasis all over my legs. I went to the hospital emergency room, and I told the doctor, this is leishmaniasis, and she was like, no kidding. She treated me, gave me medications to take home, and my visit, she gave me 3 or 4 different medications to take home. My total visit was $32. So that was in Coron in the Philippines, which is one of the most beautiful places in the world. Like literally, Coron is one of the most beautiful places in the world. It's always on the list. And that was $32. So if you are still going to, if you do still need medical care in these countries, a lot of people just keep the cash to pay out of pocket. That's what a lot of the retirees do that I house sit for in Mexico. Okay, so that was a lot of talking about that. But it's important. That's important because there are options. It is important. There are options. You don't have to feel hemmed in because you need medical attention. Or, you don't have to feel hemmed in to the U.S. because you can get good care out of the country.
Very good care. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Let's see. Yes, and Taoist Dancer, hi. I haven't seen you in a while, I don't think. Yes, she says, I imagine there are French-trained providers in Vietnam. Yes, Vietnam and France had a long-standing relationship. So yeah, I would imagine that there are. Yes. And it's a as much as it's considered a developing country, it's a modern country. There's just,
Yeah.
the cities are cities, and so yeah, they have hospitals, they have malls. That's always my standard. Like Cambodia, I didn't see any malls. You were talking about how Cambodia is not quite as convenient. Or no, you were saying Hoi An is not quite as convenient, but that's what I felt about Cambodia. It was a perfectly nice place, and the people were good, and the food was good, but I just needed a little more convenience. I did have a Burger King. There's a Burger King in Siem Reap.
There is, yeah,
with really good internet. But
yeah, that's where I wound up sometimes.
Yeah, I would go upstairs and hang out in there when I needed really good internet. But it was just not quite as convenient as Vietnam was. Yeah. Katrina, yeah, she remembers leishmaniasis. Yeah, it's gross. If y'all don't know, don't look it up. I'm serious. It's gross. But it healed up nicely. She gave me the medication and my legs look good. So, all good. Okay, don't forget to ask questions. We're talking, but make sure that you guys get your questions answered. So I feel like we did a good job with the money. We didn't talk food though. How are you eating in Vietnam? You are a food, or you have been a food blogger. Food is important to you. Food is important to me.
Yeah.
I pick places based on the food. So how are you handling food in Vietnam?
These days, food can be a bit difficult because I have to eat very simply now. Since going through my healing process, my digestion is tricky.
Okay.
And so I can't just go around eating any and everything. In Vietnamese, what the people really eat, they eat a lot of pork, they eat a lot of rice noodles. But they also eat a lot of fresh herbs and vegetables, which is really nice.
Yes.
So one of the great things about, getting an apartment that has a kitchen is that you can prepare your own food. There's, plenty of, fresh fish, all types of seafood in Da Nang in particular, because we're very close to the sea. You can you can purchase all of those things for fairly cheaply. Lots of fruits, lots of vegetables. And then when I go out to eat, for the most part, I might eat at vegan restaurants, even though I'm not a vegan. I still like, chicken and all sorts of other things. But when I eat out, I choose to eat at places that have a bit more of, they prepare their food with more of a health consciousness than a lot of other places.
Yeah.
Just because sometimes they'll add a lot of MSG and other things to the food, which disturbs my digestion. But otherwise, food here, and like generally speaking, Vietnamese food is very, very good. I enjoy Vietnamese food.
Very, very good. And like you said, very, very fresh. You can eat food on the street and you know that they just bought everything this morning,
Yeah.
in the carts. One time I went to what I thought was a food stall. They had red plastic chairs and I sat down and it was the people's house and they fed me.
That's hilarious.
By that point, I felt like I was a Vietnam pro. And I was like, well, here's some red chairs and there's something going on. I'm sitting down. And as soon as I sat down, I was like, oh, this isn't a restaurant, but I can't say anything. And next thing I know, the lady's sitting down, talking to me and bringing me food, and I ate.
Oh, that is so sweet. That would never happen in the States. That would never happen in the States.
Oh, they'd have called the police on me. I mean, they would call the police on me. Yeah, Vietnamese people, without being able to communicate, I found Vietnamese people to be very friendly. The people who approach you are friendly. I'm sure that there are lots of unfriendly people, but they just don't. They don't have anything to do with you.
Yeah.
But the people who are friendly, who will stop and have a conversation if they can and talk and
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
Like when I was I was just in Hanoi to get a new passport, and one day I was just sort of walking. I really wasn't going anywhere in particular, and I was stopped by two students, 19-year-old young men, and they stopped me and they said, we would love to practice our English with you. Is that okay? And so I was like, yeah. And we stopped around the lake, and like for a good hour, we talked. One of them bought me a little coconut ice cream, and the other one, drew a picture of me sitting around the lake. When it was cool, we sat and just had a conversation about what they were doing. I gave them, some life advice about what to do with their majors and stuff. And it was fun. People here are very, very friendly. If their Vietnamese people are very curious about you, particularly you as a Black person.
Yeah.
They want to know where you come from. Um, they understand. So for some people, they understand that you speak English and you kind of look American, but they don't understand how
How?
you're American and you still have black skin.
Mm-hmm.
That you're like why don't you have an African passport?
Mm-hmm.
And some people will ask and say, you got to explain how that works.
Yep. Yeah, and then they're so
um,
disappointed when when you tell them you're American. They're like, "Oh, I thought you were going to be from someplace new."
yeah. So it's nice to have people who are actually interested in you as a human being.
Yeah.
And to be able to talk to local people like that. You learn a little bit about them and you share a little bit about yourself.
Yes. Yes. All right, here we go. Our friend Taoist dancer. Any romantic prospects with Vietnamese or with expats?
Oh, I knew someone was going to ask that question.
Me too.
I I particularly I don't date. I don't date here, and it's not necessarily because I couldn't. I have other friends here. They have dates all the time. It's just not. It's just not something that I am particularly interested in at this moment. I'm more interested in sort of living my own life, and at some point, you know, that I will do that again.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm not.
Yes. I spent 2 months in Vietnam. I did Tinder up and down, or maybe maybe not in Hanoi, but in Hoi An and Saigon. Because there are lots of expats. It was easy to date. Lots of like Germans and like European people, men, but not. I never dated any Vietnamese people. Like never saw them on Tinder or anything. So I don't know what their social. They probably have a different app that they use. They weren't on Tinder. But yeah, it was easy to date. Like it's easy to date. Any place where you have a lot of travelers, it's easy. You just have to like find out where people are. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's easy to date, but I don't know that it's easy to get to form a relationship because people are always coming and going.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the life with travelers. When you're in a place with a lot of digital nomads, there are a lot of prospects, but they'll be gone in 3 days,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, or you'll be gone. Somebody's going to be gone in
Yeah.
3 days. Hi, Miss
Yeah.
Hurricane. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about writing. So on this call, we also have some ladies who are in business for themselves, right? You ghostwrite to help people like entrepreneurs, coaches, I would assume, to help them establish their authority in their field, right? You help ghostwrite so that they have a book that says, I know this thing. This is my subject. I'm a subject matter expert, and here's my book on this thing.
Yeah.
How did you get into ghostwriting?
Well, there's two parts of my business. The part that I do that I started off with was working as a freelance writer in the marketing space for other companies. And at this point, I'm working with mostly technology companies.
Okay.
And so like education technology companies or medical technology companies who need marketing materials written for them. So like blog posts, white papers, and other web content. They hire me pay me very good money to be able to. They just tell me what they want written, and I write it. The check, and check shows up in the mail. It's great. I don't have to do a whole lot of meetings. There's not a whole lot of. I don't have to show up online, for 9 to 5. They just sort of give me a deadline, and I organize my work schedule so that I can get it done for them during a certain time. And then I also work with other smaller small businesses, usually solopreneurs, people who are therapists. I get a lot of other people who are alternative health practitioners, and they want to be able to set up an online business for themselves, and they want to learn how to be able to write their own book, or create some sort of a lead magnet or other parts of of a marketing plan for them to be able to sell their services.
Yes.
And then every once in a while, I'll find someone who wants me to just like ghostwrite an entire, 100 to 150 page book for them, and that's a premium service that I offer for people.
So if someone here is interested in doing their own ghostwriting, you
To become a ghostwriter?
yes, to be, if they're interested in becoming a ghostwriter, they need, it's important for people to have like some subject of expertise, right?
Yeah, I say it's easiest to start off with what it is that you already know. So I have an education background. I have a master's degree in education, plus I have worked in the field of education and like higher education and working with adult learners for 15 years. And so that's why it's easy for me to be able to approach education technology companies at this point and say, hey, I know something about what it is that you're selling to this particular group of people. And they trust that I can write without doing a whole lot of hand holding.
Yeah.
I can write what they need. When I first started, I had started off in more of a health related space because I had written a blog about my own particular health challenges at that time. I don't have that blog anymore. But for about 2-3 years, I had written a blog about my health. And so when I decided I wanted to learn how to become a writer and how to make money out of my writing, I sort of used that as my first portfolio. And so I approached like vitamin companies, some people who were like fitness experts and things like that. If they needed me to write blog posts or anything like that, I just sort of use that as my portfolio to say that, here I know how to write and I know something about health and wellness. And so I started off really small. Like I was getting paid like $5 a blog post.
Yeah.
It's funny now.
Yeah.
It's like $5, $10. Like when I got up to the point where I was making $25 a blog post, I really thought I was doing something. But now I know that type of writing is not it's not a sustainable source of income. You'll burn yourself out very quickly.
Yeah.
At the time, my thinking was so small that I said, if I could just make maybe $150 a day, I'll be great.
Yeah.
I didn't really have a concept of how business works and what I need for myself over the long term. It's really something I had to create on my own because I didn't know any entrepreneur. Like no one in my family is an entrepreneur for the most part. Everyone's, they're hardworking employees. And so I had to unlearn that employee mindset and, of working hourly or per piece, and really start to think bigger, which is why I choose to work on larger writing projects that, hiring me on a retainer basis and you just pay me a flat fee for a certain number of blog articles or to do white papers they'll pay, a 10-page white paper, you can get paid several $1,000s at a time for that. And then you can just sort of manage your money and your time as you go along. And that works a lot better for me as an entrepreneur, as opposed to thinking as an employee with your writing business.
Yeah. Now, someone who wants to write, or maybe who has some writing experience and wants to turn it into a writing business so that they can live a nomadic lifestyle. So we've already said that you need to have a specialized subject matter, and you also need to have like a specialized, I think, right? You also need to have a specialized thing that you write. Do you write blog posts? Do you write white papers, right? Because if you do everything, it's harder to get customers than if you do a specific thing. I write lead magnets. I make the lead magnet and the landing page. And that now things are better for me than when I tried to do anything that they would need. I don't do blog posts and social media and stuff like that. So would you? So that's like that's the beginning steps of setting up your business. Specialize, like narrowing down what you do and who you do it for.
Yeah, to be very specific about what it is that you enjoy doing, because you want to be able to enjoy your work. but also something that you could just sort of keep doing over and over again. Um, and it's not something that you feel like you need to learn something new all the time. Now, when I first started, one of the things that I found very interesting about having a writing business was that I did have to sort of learn a bunch of different types of writing to see what I liked and what I didn't like, and what resonated with my skills, which is something that you can do, and you don't have to join somebody's expensive class to be able to learn how to do it. Plenty of online stuff that you can do for free, at least to start. You can learn these things on your own. And then you just sort of design your life and your business around the things that you enjoy. And then once you find something that looks interesting, if you want to invest further in learning how to become more of an expert at that particular type of writing, you can certainly do that. But to get started, like I think I started off with like I've always been a writer like my whole life, but there's a difference between learning how to write a sentence really well and learning how to write for people's businesses. So I learned from another Black woman. Her name is Yawanda Black. And she has a website called Inkwell Editorial, and she has a ton of ebooks where she teaches other people how to have a writing business. And I love her so much because I think I like when her first ebooks, I had bought like a bundle of ebooks for like $30. I was so broke at the time. Like I had to wait to be able to afford that $30 to be able to get this little ebook bundle. And it gave me everything that I needed to know. And I call her the original digital nomad because she had taken her writing business and moved to Jamaica. And she had been living in Jamaica for, between Jamaica and the States. And I was like, oh my God, if I can do anything that looks remotely like that, I'd be really doing something. And it took me a few years to be able to get it, but I finally have what she presented to me in the beginning. And when I look back at that sort of period in my life, I'm like, wow, I've really come a long way.
Lisa Turtle, she is Inkwell Editorial. I assume it's probably inkwelleditorial.com, but I'm not sure. I put it in the chat. I know her from Pinterest. So I would go on Pinterest and Google, how do I write this? Because I write for money too. How do I write? So wants me to write this. How do I write this? And that's how I knew Inkwell Editorial. I didn't know her name, but her last name is Black, Yawanda Black. Did you say?
Yeah, Yawanda. Yuwanda.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know her name, but I know Inkwell Editorial very well. She's helped me a lot to learn how to do what I do so that I can, make some dough, make some money. Yeah. So, yes. So you're right. This is something that you can learn. I'm not opposed to paying somebody to teach you, to coach you. But you can learn it on your own because there are a lot of resources out there. And then also for coaches. Now, for coaches who want to so you help, not coaches, but business owners, small business owners or solopreneurs, you help them write the book that is going to help grow their business. So I listed the link to that in the chat. Let me go ahead and copy that again. 7 Keys to Writing a Self-Help Book That Grows Your Business. Because the book, as we all know, the book is the thing that makes you look like the subject matter expert, right? The book is the thing that gets you speaking engagements. Katrina said, did I write a book? No. I am in the process of writing a book, but it's fiction. It's not for my business. But the book is the thing for business owners. The book is the thing that lends you legitimacy, And so this is the link to 7 Keys to Writing a Self-Help Book That Grows Your Business. I know some of the ladies in the chat right now. So go ahead and click on the link now. Go ahead, click on the link now, click it, open it in a new tab, and put in your information now so that you can get that good information from Halona. Because like I always say, what I don't like about my own freelance writing business is that I still have to find each customer one at a time. That's not a way to run a business. When you have a book or when you have some content out there, my YouTube channel, for example, that brings people to you, it changes your business entirely. And that's what a book does. That's what a YouTube channel does. And that's the difference between how much I love this business, right, and how much I can't stand my freelance writing business. That's the difference maker. The difference maker is that I don't have to look for customers. They come to me because I have this content out there. So anyway, so what I'm saying, y'all, is write a book, Kathy. That's what I'm saying. And get this download, 7 Keys to Writing a Self-Help Book That Grows Your Business. If you're watching the replay, the link to this is in the description. Okay, if you have any, ladies, if you have any, or I don't know, gentlemen, maybe there's some gentlemen still here. If you have any questions more specifically about writing for a living or about growing your online business, it's the time to ask. I always tell you, don't leave here with the same questions that you came with. We're at 10 minutes, we're an hour and 10 minutes in, and so you have a few more minutes to get in your questions. Writing is a couple of you guys, I'm scrolling through now to see who's left comments in the chat. A couple of you I know have talked about writing. And so ask your questions. Kathy said I'm on it. Good. Okay. I don't mean to call you out, Kathy, but I also do. This is for you. Good. Okay. Yeah, if you have any more specific questions. Okay, so I feel like we did Vietnam very well, except that we didn't talk about what you don't like about it. What are the problems?
What I don't like about it? Honestly, there's not a whole lot of anything that I don't like about Vietnam. The only thing I think right now with the present COVID situation has made it a little bit more complicated, and so I'm a little bit frustrated by the visa process here now. It's just changed a lot, and the government is asking outsiders to pay extra money to be able to extend visas because you can't leave the country. But that's so out of my control that it's not even worth being angry about. So all I can do is, I work on, paying the money. I have the extra money to be able to stay here. Yes, it sucks that I have to pay this money that I really wasn't expecting to pay. But living here has really afforded me to be able to do that. So, I'll smile about paying the money. Hopefully I'll be able to stay here through the end of the year. And then after that, I'll be ready to move on to a new country. I'm not really sure where yet.
Okay.
But there's honestly, I have no complaints. There's really nothing that I can say I don't like about Vietnam at all.
I feel like I should speak up then. This is not my complaint, but I'm going to give Rashida's complaint. Okay. Rashida was almost robbed, or maybe she was robbed. So the cities in Vietnam are busy and they're crowded and they're just motorbikes. We can't stress to you enough. There's just rows and rows of motorbikes. It's difficult to cross the street. So Rashida was walking down the street. Someone got up on the sidewalk. She was walking on the sidewalk. Someone rode their motorbike up on the sidewalk and grabbed her phone. I don't remember if they actually got it or not. But it's that kind of place. It's crowded and it's busy, and there's opportunity, right? If there's an opportunistic criminal out there, there is opportunity for people to take your stuff. So that's a complaint about Vietnam. White travelers complain a lot about being overcharged for things in Vietnam. I never had that, but I've seen it.
Yeah.
Well, I had one example. I went to the cart for the banh mi. Oh my gosh. And it was I wanted this banh mi so much. I had eaten them. Like I said, I ate really well in Vietnam. So I go to the cart and the woman in front of me orders what I think I want. And she either paid 8,000 or 9,000 dong. Does that sound right? 8,000 or 9,000 dong.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. But I couldn't tell if she paid 8 or 9. So I was like, okay, I'm prepared to pay this man. So I've got 20,000 dong, which is like $5. I'm not up on my...
No, 20,000 is about $1.
$1. Oh, then it must have been more than that. I'm feeling like it might have been 8 or 9,000.
So it may have been 80 or 90,000 for the banh mi then.
Okay, maybe. Yes. So maybe I had 100,000 in my pocket, in my hand. So I'm like, he's not going to charge me probably her price. She's Vietnamese. He's probably not going to charge me her price, but he's going to charge me this much. And I think he tried to charge me 10 times what I had in my hand. And I knew he was trying to
Oh
cheat
wow.
me. Of course, I don't speak Vietnamese, and of course, he didn't speak English. But he said the number. He said like I think it was 90 though. I think it was 90. He was trying to charge me
Mm-hmm.
90 for something that should have been less than 90. And I was
Yeah.
I was prepared to pay a little bit extra, but not that. I think he was like 10xing me. I may have it wrong, but he
Mm-hmm.
said the number that let me know that this was not how much I was ready to pay. So I did. We yelled at each other in the street, and then I gave him. And then finally, we came to a better conclusion on how much I should pay him for my sandwich. And yes, I did get the sandwich, and I took it and ate it because it was good. But yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of white travelers complain about how much they just get overpriced for everything all the time. I didn't experience that. I
Mm-hmm.
expected a little bit because the prices are for local people, you know,
Yeah.
who live on
Yeah. I
a
don't get
dollar a
mad.
day.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't get mad at being over. No, if it's a gross overcharge, yes. But like this place, it's so cheap. Like, and sometimes I almost feel bad about how cheap it is.
Yeah,
Just as an American, and I'm making American dollars. I have more than enough to pay for something as small as a banh mi.
that's right.
If you're gonna charge me an extra 20, 30,000, for a banh mi, fine.
Yes,
You take that extra money, and they're gonna feed their family. Like, these are
yes.
not people who are rich. These are people of humble means. They're just trying to take care of their families and things like that. So it's not like if you're getting overcharged, they're going to take your money and go on vacation with it.
Go buy lottery
They're
tickets.
they're using it to eat,
That's
literally.
right.
And that's it. They have children, grandchildren that they need to be able to take care of. So it's just feed the economy and everything works for you.
That's right.
It's
That's
okay.
right. That's right. Get just make an adjustment. So I try in my mind to make an adjustment of like a little extra, like give some cushion. And then then another complaint. So the beaches, the further south you get in Vietnam, the beaches can be dirty. From where you are in Da Nang up to the north, super clean. But as you get
Yeah.
down south, the beaches can get dirty and not fun, not cute.
Oh, okay. I
But
haven't been that far south on,
yeah.
on the beach as of yet. So yeah, I haven't really experienced that.
So y'all close your ears. It's the Russians. Okay, so there's a crazy amount of Russian tourists down there, and it just looks like a different place when you get a little further south. But yeah, the beaches look crazy. The menus are in Russian when you go down there, or in whatever the language is, and it's just a different look to it. And so it's the only place where you're going to find like dirty beaches and stuff in Vietnam. So I think those are the main complaints about Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, crossing the street is dangerous. You might be overcharged for things, or you might be charged more than locals, is what I should say, for things. And the beaches in the south are not great. In the north, sometimes you won't even see the sun. I did spend probably 2 weeks in Hanoi, and I didn't see the sun. Like, it's smoggy.
Oh,
It's probably, you just came from there. It's probably much clearer now because so many people are like on lockdown. But when I was there, it was the most smog I've ever experienced in my whole life.
Yeah. So that could be it, because like you could see the sun all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had gone. I went paragliding before I left, which is something I never think in a million years I would ever do.
That's amazing. I linked to your Instagram.
And so I could see the sun just fine.
Good. I linked to your Instagram once in the chat. Let me do that again. I'll link to Halona's Instagram in the chat and in the description so you can check out her adventures. Yeah, that area is really nice. It's very like green because it's rainy and stuff up there, so it's nice and green. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, check her out on Instagram and you can see her adventures. All right, Saren, Saren wants to know, where should emerging writers start? You're talking about writing for like emerging freelance writers should start.
So where should they start to, as far as learning how to start a freelance writing business?
Yeah.
Um, I would say take note of what your skills are. Whatever it is that you feel like you're most comfortable with, whatever your past career or careers have been in. Think along those lines and look for, if you want to do business marketing, look for clients along the lines of what it is that you've already done. So you'll be able to prove that you have experience in this particular field. Um, and then you also have to have the actual know-how on
The
how to be able
knowledge.
to write the things that they need, and so that they can pay you. Blog posts tend to be the easiest thing to be able to start off with. And there's a ton of stuff online on how to write an effective blog post, what makes a good blog post, the different parts of it, creating the headlines and, um, how long should the blog post be, depending on what it is that you're writing about, and, writing calls to action and things like that. Um, there is a language to learning how to write for an online audience. Learning how to do
Yeah.
search engine optimization.
Yes.
All of those things are things that I just sort of learned on the fly on my own, and it's totally learnable. Like it doesn't take years to learn this stuff.
Yes.
You could spend a good weekend, get yourself a good ebook. Um, if you want to pay for some good information really quick, spend 10, 20, $30 on a good ebook and learn all this stuff in a weekend.
Absolutely.
And you can start pitching customers. I like to use LinkedIn as a way to be able to connect with content marketers directly online. I just connect with them on LinkedIn. I say, hey, I'm a writer. Do you use freelance writers? And they'll tell me yes or no. And then I'll just sort of take the conversation from there.
Yes. My very first client was a friend of the family, somebody that I have known for years and years. So don't be afraid to let your network know. Even if you don't think they know someone, they might know someone who knows someone. So don't be afraid to let people know what service you're offering, and that they can share your information, or they can give you someone's information if they feel like that person might need you. So don't be afraid to do that also. A good question here from CJ Quinn RN, or Quinn CJ RN. Should our first book tell our personal story, or just the facts and teach? Our first nonfiction book.
Your first nonfiction book. Well, I think that you should always tell your story, whatever book it is that you're writing. One of my pet peeves about self-published books that people write is that they don't get to, they're so into whatever it is that they do, or teaching the process of whatever it is that they do, that they don't get into the story of who they are, where they came from, and how they came to be there. So you have to remember that you're not Oprah or another famous person, and
Right.
people don't know you. So you have to literally keep telling your story over and over and over again, so that people will be able to trust you. They'll know who you are. So you always want to be at a point where you're sharing your story, even though you're in one particular book you might be sharing a particular process about whatever it is that you do in your business. But you want to always add your story into that particular book as well.
Yes. Think about the people that you connect with, the people who, just like we talked about the resources that we like to use, what about them drew you in, what is the difference maker is probably that they shared their story, that they opened up and were, more personal and personable with you, instead of just teaching. That's what connects people. Stories connect people. Yeah. So yeah, I agree with that. CJ, I'm using Skype plus Ecamm Live to live stream. She says it looks really clear. This is Halona's fast internet at work. This is that fast Vietnam internet at work. That's why it looks so good. Sometimes it doesn't look so good. I've streamed from Mexico where my end didn't look really good, but Halona looks good because she's in Vietnam with that fast, inexpensive internet. I'm not kidding. I've been to South Africa and Australia, and I was like, they have a lot to learn from Vietnam, because the internet was terrible in both of those places. I'm like, they need to step their game up like Vietnam does. Katrina says, what's the mask mandate there, Halona?
The mask. at this moment, you can wear the mask or not wear the mask. When you're in the airport, certain airlines are telling you you must wear a mask. But mask wearing in Asia in general is just part of the culture. When
Yeah.
people are sick, they wear the mask to be able to protect the people around them. So it's just not a big deal for people to wear masks. Now, when we were doing the lockdown, and even a little bit before and after the lockdown, when we were sort of free and in the streets, wearing the mask was mandatory. You couldn't go into the mall or in really any place. If you were riding, in a taxi, or anything like that, you had to wear the mask. And if they caught you without the mask, then you would be fined. But it's such a part of the culture here that it didn't make a difference. The only people that complained about it were, some foreigners.
Yeah. All right. So you told us that in December, you likely are going somewhere else. But does this mean that you are out of the U.S. permanently? Kay wants to know.
I have no plans. Like I'm so gone. July 17th was my 2-year travel anniversary. I have absolutely no reason to go back to the States ever again in life.
Not to visit, but to visit.
I mean, maybe.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I
You are
don't have a
DUN
whole lot of
done.
friends. Yeah, I'm done. I don't have a whole lot of family and friends. Like, even when I was in the States, I didn't really have a whole lot of family and friends to be able to connect to. Like, I have my dad, which I do speak to on a regular basis, and my grandparents. And I speak to them on Skype. To be honest, I don't feel like spending money to go home and watch people watch television.
Okay.
That's the way I think about it. So I like my life overseas. If people want to see me, once this whole COVID thing sort of moves on, they can come and visit me. I would love to be able to sort of share my international life with them, and they can join me, or just have a really nice travel experience and go back home too. That's fine. But yeah, I don't have any reason to go back to the States.
Okay.
What I've been working on is sort of finding a place where I could sort of call home. I would like to have a home base at some point. I love Vietnam and Southeast Asia. I'm not really sure if this is my home. I would love to be able to do back and forth from other places, but it doesn't actually feel like a home to me as of yet. So that's really what I'm looking for.
Okay. Yeah. I can imagine that it would be more challenging than a lot of other places, because of like the language. It's easier once you can speak a little bit. Like in Mexico, I can get around enough in Spanish that I feel more comfortable there, and I could see that being a long-term place. Or like Portugal, which is my bae. I love Portugal. Portuguese is something that I could see myself learning. And I could never imagine learning Vietnamese. It's hard. So it
is a hard language.
I never learned how to say hi, because you have to say, if the person is your age, you say this. If the person is 20 years older than you, you say that. If the person is 20 years younger than you. So I literally never learned how to say hi. And it was the only place. Every place else I went, I at least learned hi and thank you. And I learned, come on. Is that thank you? I think.
Yeah, that's thank you.
That's it. That was it.
And even that is like,
it's not always.
That's not even the proper way to say it. It's just not. There's different ways to be able to say it. It is. It's a very difficult language. And hello is like, you can say sin chow, but there's probably a million other ways, and it's a very tonal language. So you can have the spelling of one word, and it'll have 5 different pronunciations, which means 5 totally different things. So Vietnamese is a very difficult language to learn.
Yeah.
And I just haven't taken the time or the space to really sit down and learn it, which I feel bad about. But then in other ways, I just don't.
It's okay. It's perfectly fine. It's hard.
It's a difficult language to sort of hear.
Yes. Yeah.
And get used to.
As an adult, as a 42 when I got there, as a 42-year-old person, I couldn't hear the distinctions in things that were different. Like, I'm never going to learn this. I'm not even going to forget it. And I think that was why so Portugal and Mexico are always at the top of my list for places where I think I could stay. But Vietnam is a place where I could spend a lot of time, but I don't know that I could stay there because I don't know that I could ever talk. Ever speak.
Yeah. Yeah, like when I spend time in Mexico, I don't speak a lick of Spanish, but because I do learn, I do know French, which I learned from living in West Africa. There were certain phrases that were very similar to French. And so at least I could sort of understand what it is that people were trying to communicate with me.
That's right.
And, and through, just sign language and very absolute baby Spanish.
Baby talk.
You're able to you're able to get your point across. But yeah, that doesn't work in Vietnamese.
No. Lisa Turtle says, what's a landing page? So Lisa, I'm going to link to actually, this isn't a landing page now that I think about it. This is a blog post. I wanted to give you this anyway. So this is the first steps to taking a career break. Oh, yes. So click on this link. It's a blog post, but embedded in the blog post, there is a link to a landing page. So it'll be like, click here if you want to download my free thing. So that's what a landing page is. So to give you the free thing, it will take you to a website, a one-page landing page that is designed to capture your email address. That's all a landing page is. They can be fancy, they can be plain. And then I'll also link one more time to Halona's 7 Keys to Writing a Self-Help Book that grows your business. This is also a landing page. So that's an example. It's the page where you go to give me your email address to get my free thing. That's what I make for coaches. So you've got 2 examples. Vicarious.com/first steps is a worksheet for to walk you through the very first steps of planning your sabbatical. Very first steps. So that's something that I give away to people. They give me their email address. Boom. Transaction done. Now we're friends. And then same thing, Halona has 7 Keys to Writing a Self-Help Book that grows your business. You give her your email address. You get the download. That's an example of the kind of work that I do for coaches and what Halona does. So that's what a landing page is. It's just a simple page where you go to give me your email address. All right, friends. I think we're winding down. Moths have taken over. I can't run the air conditioning. I'm upstairs and I have an air conditioning window unit that is the loudest unit ever in the history of air conditioning units. So I can't run it. So I have the window open and I don't care what you do, moths come in. Okay, one more question. Saren says $7,000 for white paper. Is that correct? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
A white paper is kind of like...
It could be anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 depending on what it is that you write about. Yes. So I work for a lot of technical companies, and so if the thing that you're writing about is super expensive, like I have one client where I wrote about a student information system for universities. Okay. So the thing that they log into, to put all your student ID and information in there, which is a very expensive piece of technical equipment.
Yes.
And it's complicated. And so you can write 10 pages of something. I think I wrote a white paper of maybe 5 pages and they paid me $5,000 for it. So I like technical information, so that works for me.
And a white paper is kind of, I think of a white paper as like that business's like manifesto. Is that right? I don't do white papers, but is that a good?
Yeah, it's usually for companies that are interested, for businesses that sell to other businesses, as opposed to businesses that sell to other individual consumers, and so. These businesses want to be able to convince other large businesses that the thing that they are selling will help them to do more of their business. And so, so I think that's a good way to be able to explain what a white paper does. You're not necessarily selling it straightforward, but it does just sort of puts a bug in their ear to say, hey, we have a solution for you that would work for your business and you should check us out.
Yes. So you can see it's a money maker, which is why they're willing to spend money on it. Absolutely. Katrina says, how do you advertise your services, Halona?
How do I advertise my services? I do a lot of pitching as far as working with larger corporations. So I love LinkedIn. LinkedIn has really been working for me, or I'll go directly to email if I have email addresses. So I connect with the content marketing, heads of content marketing of large corporations. So that it might literally be the content marketing director, or the head of marketing, or the head of um, uh, so like editorial marketing, or something along those lines. I will connect with a company based on what their particular title is at that company, and I will connect with them on LinkedIn and say, hey, I'm a writer. Do you work with freelance writers at all? A lot of people, they'll ignore my question,
Yeah.
which is fine.
Yeah.
Some people will say yes or no. If they say no, we don't. It's like, okay, well, fine. And maybe time down the line, six
They
months
might
to a
look
year
back.
down the line, they might look back and call you. And then every once in a while, you get one that says, as a matter of fact, we do. Can you send me your information? And we'll either have a conversation, or they'll table it for a few months when they're ready, or whatever. But LinkedIn is really helpful.
This is perfect timing. My friend G is on the chat now. G Nantra, who is also a freelance writer. So I had a conversation with G when I was struggling with freelance writing, and we sat down and had lunch, and I was like, man, I'm doing this all wrong. So she's not my coach because I complain about writing. So I can't call her my coach because I'm fuss and complain and I don't have a good opinion of it. But she is a person who you can go to. Guys, you're talking about who do you go to get coaching on freelance writing? G Nantra, right here. And also pitching. So and LinkedIn. I have done like a pitch-a-palooza where I have pitched. I said, I'm going to send a pitch every day in February. That's what I did in February. And I got, so that would be 29. We had 29 days in February, and I got probably 2 responses. So that's the thing about pitching. You have to be okay with, first of all, you have to have a good system to follow up, which I don't. I admit, I don't. Good system to follow up, and you can't get discouraged. Like, you can't get discouraged. Maybe you need to fix your pitch, but you don't just quit pitching, which is what happens to a lot of new people. They just quit. So, fantastic resources. So, friends, follow G right now. G, her name is Gertrude. But she's G. I don't know. She uses an alias. But follow G you can subscribe to her YouTube channel right now. I think if you click on G's icon, you can subscribe to her YouTube channel this second.
What's her name?
G Nantra. Gertrude Nantra. And she's in the chat. And I'll link, if you're watching the replay, I'll link to her channel in the description as well. So she's a freelance writing coach, and she will give you the information you need if you're looking to get your freelance writing business up and running. All right. Also, we've talked about Inkwell, which I believe is
Inkwell Editorial.
InkwellEditorial.com. I'm just going to write Inkwell Editorial.
.com. Yeah, that's what it is.
All right. And then I'm going to link again to Halona, digitalwellpublisher.com.
Yes.
All right. So all of these links will be in the description later, and they're in the chat now. Okay. So we've got a lot of resources. Wow. This is helpful. All right. So we've changed your life. Okay. So we've told you how to make a living and where to go once you get that living. Wow. This has been a great live stream, I must say. Patting ourselves on the back. Okay. Yeah, so this is it. Gertrude, Gertrude says Gertrude is an old lady name, so she was trying to be hip. No, well, I like them both. I like them both. Yeah, so yeah, pitching, finding the right people to pitch and pitching them, and then having something to show them, something that you can demonstrate your knowledge and your skill with.
Yeah.
Is the secret. And then don't give up. Keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be persistent. It's especially in the beginning when you don't really have a lot of experience. It's very easy to just sort of just say, I'm just tired of doing this. But for myself, I pitch at least 10 companies a day. Depending on what's going on. Right at this point, it's 10. When I was first started doing pitching on a regular basis, I was pitching 25, sometimes 30 to 40 companies a day, just because I had no clients.
Yeah,
So
you don't have anything else to
I
do.
had nothing to do but pitch. And I was just so focused on being able just to find, I just need one yes. I just need one
That's
yes. I
right.
just need one yes. And that's what you have to tell yourself. Because it's not like a job where you just sort of sit back and wait for people uh, to show up for you. And I didn't use services like, what are those services, the Upwork,
Yes.
and other things like that. I kind of did that in the beginning, but I hated it because they were just looking for the cheapest person
That's
to be
right.
able to do the work. And once I started to learn that there are companies who will pay for quality writers. It's just a matter of um, positioning yourself so that you'll look like a good match
Right.
for them, and learning how to be able to do the type of writing that they need. I found that Upwork just wasn't something that I needed to be able to use, and I think it puts people in a passive role as far as in creating their own writing business, and that's not a jab at people who use it, because I do know some people who created businesses around it. Um, but it just seemed very passive for me, and it's just easier to just go directly to the company and pitch, and I tell them how much I want to be able to get paid in order to
Yes.
do this type of work, and they can
Yes.
say yes or no.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to switch off from being an employee. It's hard to do that, and it's hard to say I'm in charge of how much I charge, but you have to learn it. It's still something that I'm working on too. Yeah. Katrina, and we've got some people who are ready to bounce. Ms. Hurricane, who said they're ready to bounce. Yeah, so I hope this is helpful information for you. Saren says you work 4 to 5 hours a day. How much time is devoted to actually writing then?
Um, it depends on what client I'm working with. So on a client project, I might work on one client project for maybe 2 to 3 hours at a time, and then I spend a good 1 to 2 hours on the marketing piece for it. There's only but so many hours that you can spend as a writer on the actual writing.
Yeah.
It's a very it can be a very taxing, mentally taxing task to do on a regular basis, and it's a mental task that I enjoy.
Yeah.
Not everybody enjoys
Right.
that sort of mental part. Like, writing is not mechanical. There's not some formula that you just fill it out, and all the writing is done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can do that, but you'll burn yourself out very quickly. I'm a very creative person, and so I like to be able to figure out, from a marketing perspective, what types of writing, or how are we going to approach trying to bring in this particular client. There's a whole thinking that goes into writing these things. So I would only spend 2 to 3 hours at a time on a particular project at a time.
And there's a lot of research, probably. Well, I don't
Yeah.
know. If you write the same stuff over and over again, I guess you get to research a little
Yeah.
less and less, but a lot of research that goes into it before you can even get your words on the page. Yeah. All right, guys. Yeah, and we all agree Upwork is horrible. I did some social media management work through Upwork. I didn't do any writing jobs through Upwork, but you're right, they're just looking for the lowest possible. How much can we pay? Can we pay you $2 an hour for a project and get away with it? I would avoid it if at all possible. If you do any kind of work that you could turn into freelance work, start there. Like, you don't have to start from scratch. If you can take, it surprises me. I do one-to-one calls with people, and it surprises me how many times they're like, oh, I could do that. I talked to a lady who was an accountant, and I was like, could you do like freelance accounting work? And she was like, oh.
Yeah.
Don't start from scratch. People hear sometimes one particular thing that you do to make money, and they're like, okay, I want to do that thing. But you don't have to start from ground zero. Start from your skills. Like Halona said a lot, start from the skills that you already have, and you'll be happier, and your work will be better. Yeah. Melissa, hi Melissa. Melissa says your energy is awesome. We all agree.
Oh, thank you.
We all agree. Okay. All right, friends. Well, okay, we're going to bring it to a close. So if you have any other questions, you need to get them fingers typing. I appreciate you guys for coming on, and I appreciate you, Halona. It's Saturday morning there. Is it still morning? Yeah, it's almost noon, right?
Yeah, it's morning. It's 9:45 in the
Oh,
morning.
9:45. Okay, okay. So I hope you have a fantastic weekend. And friends, I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. I think someone asked me to come back and talk about my New Orleans house sit, so I might do that. Specifically, do like a live stream about the house sit. I might do that actually on Wednesday instead of next Saturday. So make sure that you're subscribed so that you'll get the pop-up notification if I do, because I have some stuff going on next weekend. So but yeah, I would like to talk about the house sits in New Orleans because it was fun. I booked 2 house sits because I wanted to go to Essence Festival, and I booked so far in advance that I didn't know coronavirus was going to happen and Essence Festival was going to be canceled. So I ended up in New Orleans sweating, sweating and walking dogs for 4th of July weekend. Okay. I love your lives. Thank you very much, Katrina, my Ms. Hurricane. Thank you. I appreciate you guys again. Okay, so I always say we're gonna bring it to a close, and I talk for 5 more minutes, but that's because I'm Connie Perry's daughter. Okay, we really are gonna bring it to a close. I appreciate you, Halona. Friends, don't forget all the links that I've left in the chat are in the description. So, or if they're not right now, they will be in about 5 minutes. So check out all of the links. If you have questions, so I've also linked to Halona's Instagram. You know that you can always leave questions here in the comments, or you can go just bombard her with questions on Instagram. And don't forget to download her 7 keys to writing a self-help book that grows your business. Make sure that you download that so that you will be, so that you will have the information, the knowledge that she has in her head. You will have it in your hands. All right. Have a great weekend, guys. Anything else, Halona? Anything we missed?
No, I just want to say thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun. You're a great interviewer. You're great at interviewing and managing your community at the same time. So this has been a lot of fun.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I'm so glad to have you here. I can't tell you how many people were as soon as I put that thing up on Instagram that we're talking about Vietnam, how many DMs I got. So I'm so glad that you were able to. Yeah. Vietnam is the place. It's the place. Everybody's got questions about it. So I'm so glad that you were able to come to answer our questions and to give us even more information than we thought we were going to get. You know, we talked about a whole new set of whole new topic that we didn't even know we were going to cover today. So I appreciate you. All right. I said it last time, but I mean it this time. Have a good night, everybody.